Italian Cooking in association with Simply Good Food TV, where today we're going to make Olive Tapenade Bruschetta. Now before we get started, just take one quick second and please click that subscribe button in YouTube and download the Simply Good Food TV app. Now my family loves appetizers. There's been a number of times where we've went out to a restaurant and we've all just ordered appetizers as our main course and shared those appetizers. We kind of do the same thing from time to time at home, where I'll make a bunch of different appetizers, I'll make a main dish. We'll eat so many of the appetizers that we're eating the main dish for the next 3 or 4 days for lunch. One of my favorite Italian appetizers to both make and eat is bruschetta. Just mainly because it's so versatile. There's so many different items that you could put on that toasted bread, different ways you can prepare the bread, different breads that you can use. That is just something that I really like to make. So in this video, I make a real quick olive tapenade. I toast up some bread and we make olive tapenade bruschetta. So let's get started by taking a look at our ingredients.
Let's take a real quick look at the ingredients for our olive tapenade. Now we're going to use this on a bruschetta. What we're going to use is about 2 tablespoons of Italian parsley. If you have flat parsley, that's fine. And we're going to finely chop that. We got just shy of a ½ cup of olive oil. We are going to need 1 cup of roughly chopped green olives and roughly chopped black olives. Now this is, the 1 cup is after you chop them measuring, because you know, one cup of pre-chopped versus post-chopped are going to be just a little bit different. Now I had sliced black olives in my pantry. I'm a home cook. I use what I have in my pantry. But you want to go green and black. Now I also like Kalamata olives. I'm going to throw in a few. My mouth's already watering because I love Kalamata olives. We're just going to throw in a few of those just to brine it up a little bit. Also to bring up the brine, we're going to use 2 anchovy fillets. We're going to smash them up real good. We have, this is just maybe a little bit shy of a tablespoon of capers, and we're going to chop them up as well. We're going to use 1 clove of garlic. Now we are going to smash this and very, very finely chop it up, kind of try to get it to a paste. And we're going to use 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. We'll just say juice 1 lemon, that's going to be close enough. And then we're going to slice some tomatoes, but we're going to use that on top of our on top of our bruschetta once we get all of our tapenade ready and we prep our bread. So I'm going to break away real quick, change a few things around here, then we're going to get started. It's time to prep our olives. Now these black olives here, these are already sliced, so it's going to save us some time on chopping. Again, we want just a rough chop on these. We want, we don't want there to be any of the full rings left. So, if we could get these rings in half, in thirds, or in quarters, that is going to be more than sufficient. I'm going to go ahead, get these chopped up, make sure I have a cup, because I want 1 cup post-chopped. I got to break away a second because you might hear the pitter-patter of little doggy feet. Turns out, I turn on a camera and it's usually the cat that runs into the blinds, but now the doggy has to go to the bathroom. So I need to let her out back in our fenced yard. And when I come back, we'll do the same with our green olives. So I've got my green olives ready to start my prep on. They're going to roll everywhere, isn't that fun? You probably should use like a Sicilian green olive, or just, again, whatever you have in your pantry will work just fine. If you already have sliced olives, that makes this prep a lot shorter. As I cut these, chop them up, I'll throw them over here in my cup. And once I get up to my 1 cup, if I can keep from cutting my fingers, I will just pour them over here into my bowl, and then we can move on to the next step. But for now, I'm just going to slice these like so. Once I get all these sliced, then I'll give them the rough chop. All right, now we are going to prep a few of our more flavor-packed ingredients, as if olives weren't flavor-packed enough. But what we're going to do here, my cloves of garlic were a little bit on the small side, so I'm going to go with 2 cloves. You can adjust based on your flavor profile. Everybody likes something a little different. My wife and I, we love garlic. So what I'm going to do is I'm giving this garlic a really good smash. My end goal is going to be to kind of crush this up into a paste, kind of chop it real fine, and then I'm going to kind of smear it into a paste. So what I'm going to do is cut off my woody ends of my garlic, and then I'm going to try to mince this very, very finely. Not going to worry about getting it way too fine, because then what I'm going to do is take my fork and just kind of smash it. Ideally, you would want a mortar and pestle to do this. I do not have one yet. It's one of those things where I keep saying, yeah, I need to buy that. Just never get around to it. So what I'm going to do is just keep smushing this until I get it into about a paste. Once you get it smushed down so far, just kind of smear it like so with your fork. Now, what I'm going to do is kind of do the same thing with my anchovies. I have 2 anchovy fillets here. What we're going to do with our anchovies is the same thing. We just kind of want to smear them down into a paste. Now, if you have anchovy paste, you could use that as well. Again, a mortar and pestle would be ideal. But I'm just going to keep working this until I get it broken down very, very finely. I've been working this anchovy for just maybe up to a minute, and you can see I've got it pretty much down to a paste. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of put that garlic and anchovy together right here. I'm using the back of my knife so I don't mess up my blade, just in case you think, what the heck is he doing? All right, next thing we're going to do are capers. We're just going to give our capers, this is give or take 1/2 to 3/4 tablespoon of capers. Just kind of eyeball it. We're going to give those a nice chop, like so. That pretty much finishes our wonderful flavor-packed ingredients, with the exception of our Kalamata olives. Kalamata olives, same thing. I'm gonna do the same thing to them that I've done to our other olives. Just going to give them a rough chop. Doesn't matter that I'm using one of the same knives, because it's all going in the same bowl anyway. You don't have to use Kalamatas, because you're going to get a lot of punch from the capers, from the garlic, from the anchovies. But I just love Kalamatas, so I couldn't resist not including my favorite olive in this dish. So now that I've got my Kalamata olives sliced, just giving them a quick rough chop. That is a heck of a lot of flavor on my cutting board right now. We've got our anchovies and our garlic that I've just kind of kept crushing and smearing with my fork to try to get them down into almost a paste. Here we've got Kalamata olives, we've got capers. That's a lot of flavor. So I'm going to scrape that into my bowl. Okay, it's time to prep our parsley. And what I have here is the Italian curly parsley. Now, if you have the flat parsley, it's same thing pretty much. I don't like the stems, and so I like to just kind of pinch the stems off. What we're looking for here is right around 2 tablespoons, give or take, of chopped parsley. We're going to try to chop this up pretty finely. So I'm going to pull the heads off the rest of these here just real quick. We're going to give this a nice fine chop without cutting our fingers. I'm not super quick yet with my knife skills. Always working on them, because I feel like I'm always cooking. But we want to get this nice and finely chopped. And when we do get it all chopped, we'll just add it to our bowl. So I've got my parsley chopped, and I have way too much. Isn't that always the way? It's either you have too much or you have not enough. All right, so I'm going to eyeball, about 2 tablespoons into my bowl. Like so, close enough. A little bit more. What the heck, right? So now what I want to do is get my lemon. I want the juice from 1 lemon. We're getting really close. So 1 lemon juice goes in. There's 1/2 of a lemon. And the other half, I'm not going to quite put it all in. There we go. Good enough. So now what we're going to do, we will take our olive oil. That goes in our bowl. That was about 1/2 cup of olive oil, give or take. Grab something to stir with. So now what I'm going to do is mix this together. And get this out of the way here. So now what we're going to do is just mix this together. And that, my friends, is our olive tapenade. We're almost ready to eat. This is looking good. Smells good. So when we come back, I'll be slicing up my bruschetta bread. And we'll talk about how I prep my bruschetta and along with a couple other ways that you can do it. So this is ready. We're getting close to eating time. So I'm set up over at my stove because I want to toast some bread for my bruschetta to use with my olive tapenade. Now the pan I use, there's a couple different ways that you can prepare your bread. In the past, what I've done is I brushed one side with olive oil and then I'll put it in my oven at like 450, 475 olive oil side down until I lightly toast one side. So my lovely wife got me this pan, and this is called a graticola. And you can see it's got holes all in the bottom. It's really thin. It's got a nice grate here on the top, but it works so good. Sometimes I will still brush my bread with olive oil. In this case, I'm not going to. I just have bread. But what it really does is it adds a real nice smokiness to the bread, and it only takes a second or two to do. So what I do is I turn my heat wide open, and we just set our bread right here on it. And you're gonna see a little bit of smoke come up from this. But it just takes no time at all. And it's just amazing the flavor that you get out of this bread just by smoking it for just 2 minutes or grilling it for just a few minutes. Now you saw I just put the bread on. I haven't edited this down or anything. You can start to see, let me see if I got a piece here that's, well, it just needs another second here, but put your flame clear on high. You want to make this a quick process, and you can see that we're starting to get a little bit of color on our bread. Just going to let it set for a minute here. So you start to see a little bit of smoke. You might be able to hear a pop or a crack every now and then. See, we've already got a little bit of color on our bread. I don't like to get it real super dark. I just like to get it a little bit smoky, get a little bit of that flavor in. So look at that, really good color out of this. Again, this pan's called a graticola. It costs 10 bucks online. Just do a quick Google search, but it's an investment. If you eat a lot of bruschetta, a lot of appetizers, Italian appetizers, this is definitely something that you'll want to pick up. I'm going to get my bread down here, and then we'll set back up and do a quick tasting of our olive tapenade. So it's time to try our olive tapenade. I'm just going to put a couple here on my plate. The olive tapenade has a lot of flavor. So what some folks will do is they'll take a slice of tomato. After we put our olive tapenade on our bread, they might top it with a nice slice of tomato. If you had a good heirloom tomato, that would be magic on this. But I am a big olive fan. Of course, this has olives, garlic, anchovies, olive oil, but it is a flavor-packed appetizer. So let's give this a try. This is the first time I've ever made this olive tapenade. So let's see how we did.
It's good.
It definitely has a punch from all of the olives, the anchovies, the capers. It is packed full of flavor, but not overly flavored to the point where you can't eat it. If you hear some growling in the background, that's my dog. She's having fun. She's kind of rolling back and forth, wanting me to go over and spend some time with her. This tapenade would be amazing on a muffaletta. So if we had a nice Italian sandwich with some bread, put some mortadella, some coppa, just a couple layers of a nice Italian meat with an Italian cheese. You put this on it, man, it's going to take that already great sandwich and just kick it up a notch. This is definitely something I would recommend making. If you have guests that don't like olives, yeah, they're not going to like this, but the ones that do are really going to appreciate the flavor. So with that, thank you so much for watching POV Italian Cooking. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+, LinkedIn even. But most importantly, I want you to click that subscribe button in YouTube. That way you will not miss an episode of POV Italian. You'll get a notification every time. Also, download the Simply Good Food TV app. Great app, wonderful chefs making a wide array of cuisines, and you can watch every episode of POV Italian through the Simply Good Food TV app. Again, I really appreciate you guys watching. Leave some comments below. Tell me what you'd like to see me cook in the future. And ciao.